Here he is, our Thursday regular. And he's off on a bit of a summer vacation after this, so good to catch up with Scott Rintoul before he heads out into the summer vacation. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me back on.
More than welcome. Just want to get your initial reaction here to Nazem Kadri signing with the Calgary Flames.
What an offseason for the Calgary Flames. Remember, this is a Nazem Kadri who reportedly, years ago before leaving Toronto and getting traded to Colorado, said no to a deal to the Calgary Flames. And here he is in his big cash-in free agency period saying, actually, I really like what's going on there. Maybe that speaks to the rest of the market, gentlemen, but it also speaks to what Brad Treliving has assembled in Calgary, and Kadri's thought that this team is there and possibly could do something. It's been a remarkable offseason for the Calgary Flames, one that none of us would have predicted whatsoever. And as I look at them right now, that looks like a better team today than the one that finished top of the division last season.
Incredibly so. You know, who would have thought when Johnny Gaudreau spurns them and then Matthew Tkachuk wants out that they could possibly be improved from last year's club? Okay, I'll ask you the Bodog poll question. Do you think the Canucks have it in them to finish ahead of either Edmonton or Calgary? It's starting to look a little bit like the 80s over there.
I mean, anything's possible, but the logic in me tells me no. I think Calgary is better. You can make an argument that Edmonton is better if you believe their goaltending situation has improved from last season. So I will say on this day, as currently constructed, no, Vancouver does not finish above either of the Alberta teams, though as we're seeing in Calgary, things can change on a roster even deep into August.
It's unbelievable on Brad Treliving's birthday, no less, that he consummates the summer like this. It sort of emboldens fan bases around sport to just say calm. Just because one thing happens doesn't mean the world ends. This has to be one of the better Houdini off seasons of any GM in any sport that I can truly remember. I mean, this is Masai Ujiri, prior to the Raptors championship level, but this is on multiple players. I mean, I don't know if there's a comparable to it.
Well, think about the pivot that has occurred here, Blake, because Johnny Gaudreau was set to sign an extension. Brad Treliving fully believed that he was going to have his star player over 100 points last season, Hart Trophy votes all over the place. Johnny Gaudreau was going to be under contract for the next 8 years, and at the 11th hour, no, I can't do it. I'm going to move closer to home. He's had to pivot and make all of this happen. And I believe, and nothing against Johnny Gaudreau's high end and what he could do, and I hope for any player that they go on to be successful any year. I just like watching high-end skill in any sport. But I don't think that contract would have aged very well. And I can make an argument today that the best thing that has happened to the Calgary Flames is Johnny Gaudreau saying, I'm going to go to market. It has caused all of these other moves to happen, and they are a better team as I look at the roster right now than they were with Johnny Gaudreau on the roster signing that deal.
Matthew Tkachuk was not that great in the playoffs either. Like, you replaced a like-for-like player, Kadri for Tkachuk, in terms of points. Yes, sandpaper, absolutely. Except Tkachuk wasn't as good as we thought he would be come playoff time, and Kadri is now battlefield proven. Again, even within these swaps, they may have gotten better.
And Kadri's a center.
Yeah.
Kadri gives you that at the center ice position as well. I have no doubts about Matthew Tkachuk's ability to perform in the playoffs. I think he has the type of game that will translate extremely well to the postseason over the course of his career. But you're right, Blake. Now you've brought in a Stanley Cup champion, a guy who has been through his own trials and tribulations. Wasn't very long ago we were saying, can he even stay in a playoff series?
Right.
Can he keep himself on the right side of the line? Well, Nazem Kadri has the ring to show that he can do the thing, and boy, was he instrumental in that cup win for the Colorado Avalanche. And under Daryl Sutter, you would think that that's a nice mesh with the head coach they currently have in Cowtown.
Do you think that things now open up for the Canucks, either with the Islanders on JT Miller or elsewhere, now that the last big free agent has signed?
It's certainly possible because there are those teams that will feel they've been left at the altar. The Islanders are always curious, aren't they? Lou Lamoriello always has a few moves that nobody's heard of, and everybody's been circling the Islanders. JT Miller, are they going to move a goaltender? What are they going to do with Dobson? Everybody's been wondering about the curiosity that is the New York Islanders. So maybe it does open up, Matt. I would say this. The other thing Canucks fans can probably look at from this is, okay, let's say Miller doesn't move and he is in Vancouver, and let's say they keep him for the entire season and he walks. There at least is a precedent just on the other side of the Rockies that you can make good things happen if you are shrewd with your management, which it appears Brad Treliving has been. And I believe right now, and this will be borne out over the course of the next number of months, I believe right now there's a lot of optimism in Vancouver about this particular management group and how shrewd it happens to be.
Miller's camp allowed for the possibility that they would end extension talks once the regular season begins on October 12th. How do you think that changes the dynamic, if at all, Scott, over the next 60 days?
I don't think it changes the dynamic because it's one thing to say it, it's another to actually do it. And yep, you can be courage of your convictions. We're not going to talk, but are you telling me that if an extension winds up on JT Miller's desk or his agent's desk in December that has the numbers they want, they're going to say no to that? Or are they going to say, sorry guys, I know that's the deal we're looking for, but we said we're not going to talk about it anymore? I understand why you say that. I understand you don't want it to be a distraction, but Miller himself recently admitted, look, I can tell you all you want that all I'm going to do is focus on hockey, but of course it's going to be in the back of his mind, and it's going to be in the back of his agent's mind, it's going to be in the back of the Canucks' mind as well.
Mm-hmm. Blake, if you've got anything other Canucks or hockey, if not, we'll move on here.
Well, let's just further explore the JT Miller possibilities here on Long Island, where they seem desperate to make something happen. They are a very stale core. Lou Lamoriello has done very little in his 4 years at the helm of the New York Islanders. And Lou might just not give a shit about anything here anymore at this late stage in his career. But does he have to show his fan base that he has a pulse? They got a brand new building there, for heaven's sakes. I mean, it almost puts again, if Lou is human, if Lou gives a bleep, doesn't he have to pull something off now because of what he's let his fan base down with, not pulling in Nazem Kadri? I mean, that is a stale group of players right now.
And they don't have Barry Trotz anymore, which has probably caused the fan base to think, what's this going to look like next year? Remember the division we were talking about. Remember where they compete and what teams around them have been doing and how good they were last season. That division doesn't look any easier next year. Something needs to happen with the Islanders. I would go back to one of the first things you said during this conversation, though, Blake. It's that reminder to NHL fans, just be calm. If there's anybody you can play that out to the nth degree with, it's probably Lou Lamoriello. Like, would it surprise you if the day before the season, Lou Lamoriello did something that allowed for their salary cap to look a lot different and their roster to suddenly look different? I'm not saying he waits exactly that long, but for him, he will use all the time necessary. I mentioned the goaltending earlier. Does Vegas pony up and get a goalie out of New York? There's an aggressive franchise as well. What happens with that Dobson contract extension, or maybe one that they can't come to terms on? There's a lot that's still to happen with the New York Islanders. So yes, to your original question, I believe Lou Lamoriello does have to do something, but I also believe he's going to do something, whether it's JT Miller or not.
Are you running out of words for Nathan Rourke with the BC Lions? Because we sure are. So help us out, Scott.
It's wow after wow after wow. He does it week after week after week. And guys, the throw over the top to Brian Burnham on 3rd and 2 is the one that just made me stand up and applaud in my living room. I know that Burnham makes the incredible catch later on another 3rd down, but that to me is more on the receiver than it is on the quarterback. That's a quarterback going, okay, I'm going to trust my guy. You got to go get it. But the fact that Burnham hung onto that ball was incredible. The one he throws over the top on 3rd and 2, there are very few players who have the stones to try that throw, and there are so many quarterbacks out there that would underthrow it, baby it, because they know the situation, they know the stage. Not Nathan Rourke, man. This kid does it week after week. It is a treat to watch him play. And, oh, yeah, he's Canadian.
Yeah. Well, and he's got that cool too, Scotty. Like, this is the first time where I think we, had to see him engineer a game-winning drive, right? 2-minute drill, 3-minute drill, whatever you want to call it, to maintain the accuracy that he has, because the accuracy is off the charts.
It's exactly what I was just going to ask about, because he doesn't have the Brett Favre cannon. But my goodness, it does not seem like receivers need to reach for many balls thrown by Nathan Rourke. It just seems like it's exactly where they need to be.
No, he puts a lot of zip on it, and you're right. He may not have that Brett Favre-type gunslinger arm, but he can throw everywhere on this field, and he's proven it week after week. The pace he's on right now is ridiculous. Like, he's almost at 3,000 yards, and he hasn't even reached the midway point of the season. He's going to crest that, barring something unfortunate happen tomorrow night at BC Place. He'll be over 3,000 yards. There are people talking about Doug Flutie's record from 1991. I doubt that Nathan Rourke gets there. 6,600 yards by Flutie that season, most outstanding player. But remember, Doug Flutie that year for the BC Lions played 6 overtime games. There were 6 overtime games to add to that
That's
total.
crazy.
And Nathan Rourke right now is on a pace that rivals that
It's
total.
almost an extra game.
Over.
6 overtime is almost an extra game.
That's wild, isn't it?
I've never heard of that. Like, a third of your games go to overtime.
It's insane. Julio Caravetta, have him detail it for you one day.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think about. And look, Nathan Rourke is unlikely to break Doug Flutie's record. But the way he's going right now, he might break his touchdown pass record, which stands at 48. He's averaging almost 3 a game, a shade under 3 a game right now. And how about those Lions receivers? 3 of them going into this week's ball game with over 600 yards in their back pocket already.
Lastly, a big win for the Whitecaps last night at BC Place, 2-1 over Colorado, a direct competitor in the MLS West mid-table. It vaults them already all the way up to 7th on 33 points. They are tied on points with 4 other teams, and they have played more games than some of the teams around them, not to mention their minus 14 goal differential, which is the worst of the lot there. But what's your confidence level on the Caps right now as they've added some new players here and coming off the win last night?
They're fun to watch, and boy, was Ryan Gauld amazing to watch last night. Blake got a first-hand look and got to call that game, and it was nice of the Whitecaps, Blake, to give you some late drama. Or maybe not. I'm not sure they wanted that much.
There's been enough of that. There's been enough.
Oh, man, there was enough late-game drama last night. My confidence level is probably exactly where the Whitecaps are right now, Matt, right in the middle of the pack, and that's where my confidence level would be because this team has struggled, like a couple in and around them. Colorado certainly in that mix as well. They can't seem to find points away from home. They're extremely good at BC Place, but they really struggle on the road where they have to go this Saturday. I guess the good news, bad news situation, if you want to look at it this way, is that most of the games that remain on the schedule are against the teams they're fighting with in that pack, I should say. So you kind of control your own destiny here. It's not like you're playing the top of the table all the time. You are playing those other playoff contenders. Take care of your own business, and you're going to be in the playoffs.
Marvelous stuff. Scotty, you enjoy your holiday over in Europe, okay, my friend? And we'll talk to you when you get back.
Thank you. I will see if I can not be mistaken for a leprechaun.